we are going to be making an eggnog inspired ice cream. It's perfect for the holidays, especially if you're trying to come up with something that's unique to bring over. Instead of just bringing over a carton of eggnog, why not make eggnog ice cream? So in today's video, we're going to be making just that. Go ahead, let's take a look. Let's admire our work. It looks gorgeous. It looks holiday. It looks festive. This is exactly what we're looking for. We gotta eat this quickly because it is already melting. Wow. You really taste the cinnamon with the eggnog. It really enhances the flavor. And with the crunch and everything on the bottom, really bring the masterpiece to life. When you have that spiked Dole Whip with the Irish cream mixed in, this is really good. So here are some things you're gonna need. First, you're gonna need a whisk, a bowl, or a mixing bowl, any kind works. I like the one with the little pitcher tint, just so it's easier to pour and to navigate. You're going to need sprinkles. You can get this at your local Aldi's. It comes with a whole bunch of different sprinkles, all holiday inspired. You can find this for about $6 at Aldi's. You're also going to need some pure vanilla extract. It is alcohol based, so keep that in mind. We also got these Netherlands cookies, it's caramelized cookies. We're going to put this on the bottom layer of the ice cream. You find it again at your local Aldi. It's about $2, so, but it's really good. It only has minimal ingredients. You are also going to need about 1/4 a cup measuring cup, a half a measuring cup, and a 1 cup measuring cup. So that's the things that you're going to need in terms of your measuring. You will also going to need some organic cane sugar. So you can use it. Now this one is optional. I'm not going to be using it in today's video, but if you want to make any ice cream more creamier, you're going to want to use heavy whipping cream. But because the holiday eggnog that I got already, it's already thick, it's already creamy, we're not going to make it even more creamy, which makes it more like custard. We're going to try to make it more like ice cream. So instead, we're going to be using half and half. You can use any brand you prefer, so we're going to be using half and half. And holiday eggnog. As well, you can get this at your local Aldi's. It's not that expensive, about roughly around $4 for this carton, but it's already flavored, so you don't need to do anything to it. We're going to be using this instead of our heavy whipping cream. This will be combined with the half and half to really bring home the holiday flavor. Anyway, that's all the things that you're going to need. Plus, as well, you're also going to need your 1 pint ice cream maker, or if for any reason you want to make more than 1 pint of ice cream, duplicate this recipe per each pint you want to make. So this recipe that I'm giving you in this video is for 1 pint. Okay, so for the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take about your 1/2 a measuring cup, and you're going to pour in your half and half. Now because there is nothing inside the bowl, we're just going to dump it all in. So now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to grab your 1 cup measuring cup and your holiday eggnog. So you can see it's very thick. We're just going to slowly whisk into the bowl mixture. You're going to do clockwise, counterclockwise. And now you can actually add in some cinnamon if you prefer. So we're going to give this a taste test to see how it is before we put it into our ice cream machine. Alright, so this is what it should look like, hopefully, as you're mixing. It kind of has more like a yellow pink color. It's not too white. It's basically the color of like an off cream. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now the next step that we're going to do is we are going to... Okay, so now the next step that we're going to do is we're going to add in our vanilla extract. And this is what we're going to be using next. All you have to do is essentially just add a little splash of vanilla extract. Not much, just a splash. That looks pretty good. You can kind of see starting to form like little bubbles. So just going to mix it into the mixture itself. This is going to add that extra hint of vanilla when making the eggnog. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to want to grab your organic cane sugar and your 1/4 a cup measuring cup. Just like this, you're going to slowly incorporate it into the ice cream mixture itself. Basically make it rain, go clockwise, counterclockwise. We are now going to give this a taste test to see if we need to add more sugar or if the texture and taste correct. You might need to even add cinnamon, but we're gonna give it a taste test first to see if we even need it. You can really, really smell the eggnog and the half and half in this mixture, I can tell you that. You want to keep whisking. You feel like there's no more sugar granules on the bottom of the bowl. Okay, so now we're going to give this mixture that we just made, the eggnog ice cream, a taste test. Do we need to add more sugar? Do we need to add cinnamon? Do we need to add a little bit more vanilla? We're going to find out in a moment. Because what it tastes like in its liquid form is what it's going to taste like when it's hardened. Oh, this is perfect. Wow, that's good. This is phenomenal. That's the perfect consistency. It tastes just like eggnog. I think the only thing that we're lacking is a little bit of cinnamon. Then we're basically done. Okay, so for now, this next part, this part is optional. You don't have to do it. You can if you want, but you don't have to. We're going to be using our ground cinnamon. We're just going to put a little splash of this inside the ice cream. Now, this is very important because when making vanilla ice cream or eggnog ice cream with cinnamon, cinnamon doesn't have a tendency to combine very well. So you're going to keep in mind when you're slightly pouring in the cinnamon. We're going to go a little bit. All right, it looks like a good amount. We're just going to mix this in. Looks like way too much, actually, is what it looks like. We're just going to keep going crazy, keep mixing. Now, the next thing you want to do is want to make sure it doesn't in any capacity taste like cinnamon in your mouth. If there's too much cinnamon, then that's bad. All right, we're going to give it a taste test. Let's see how it tastes now. Perfect. Tastes perfect. So this is what it should look like. Okay, so the most sensitive part about this entire project is your freezing bowl. You want to make sure that in order to get the most optimal temperature and the most ice cream consistency that you can, you want to keep your freezing bowl at optimal temperature, about 0 degrees Fahrenheit. If you have it at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, then it's not going to freeze as well. So 0 degrees Fahrenheit is optimal, but for whatever reason you need to keep it at 32, then just add an extra 15 to 20 minutes onto your ice cream maker when trying to make the right consistency. Consistency is important for when making sure it doesn't come runny. Because if the consistency is off, when you start to take it out of the dish to serve it, it's going to start to become very liquid within seconds. You don't want that. So that's why consistency is very important. Now, because I want to be able to continue moving, I don't want us to keep talking, we're going to set up our ice cream machine, which I already have handy. And before you do anything, my recommendation is to lock the lid in place. The reason why is based off of past experience. If you don't do it now, it's not going to lock in the future. Okay, so now we have the little opening lip here. We're going to pour everything into this 1 pint ice cream mixture that we're making right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to whisk our ice cream one more time because you can kind of see here the cinnamon has settled. So whatever the next part is, you're going to pour in your ice cream mixture. Just make sure you mix really well before you pour it in. The next thing you're going to do is turn on your ice cream machine. All right, now it's on. And you're going to slowly pour in your ice cream. So as you can kind of see, the line is a little underneath where the whisk is, which is perfect. It's going to allow the ice cream to rise up and get that perfect consistency that we're looking for. We're going to let this sit and do its job for about 25 minutes. I'm going to check in on it and see how it's doing. Okay, so for our next part of this video, we're going to make our crumb base. This is going to be important because it's going to complement the texture and taste of the eggnog and not make it too creamy. This is going to help break that up. So we're using caramelized cookies from the Netherlands. You can find this at your local Aldi. They do sell European brand. I prefer European because there's less ingredients in them, making it a lot more healthier for the human body. Anyway, we're going to open this up. Now you have a couple choices. You can either crack this or you can just lay it down as whole pieces, it's going to work either way. So make sure you're always using an airtight container. It's going to prevent freezer burn. Freezer burn can do a lot of damage to your ice cream. So you want to make sure you preserve your work by making sure you have an airtight container. Just like this. Anyway, let me just show you what it looks like. Now you can just have this crumbed up, like smashed in. You're gonna need more cookies to be able to cover the entire bottom, or you can just leave it as this. When you scoop the ice cream, it's gonna become a little bit liquid. It's going to absorb some of that creamy texture, allowing to be incorporated along the lines of like a strawberry shortcake ice cream, which is a video that we actually did using these shortbreads. They do become very soft when you put the ice cream on it, so don't worry about it. Alright, so I let this sit longer than 30 minutes, roughly around 50 minutes. You can definitely see here it has ice cream texture. So now we are now ready for the next phase of this video. Okay, so this is the most time-sensitive part, and it requires fast-paced movement. So get ready. You're going to grab your container with the cookies in it, and we're going to pop this lid off. But first, we're going to turn it off. And then you can really see the consistency here. Basically the texture of ice cream. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take our spatula and we are going to slowly pour in the ice cream mixture into this container. Now this recipe calls for 1 pint. You can double the recipe as many times as you need in order to make the appropriate amount of pint of ice cream that you need or require. Alright. Okay, so now this is what it looks like. So this is what you can do. You can either just put the sprinkles on and pop it into the freezer for about 2 to 4 hours at 0 degrees Fahrenheit to be ready to be fully served. If you have your temperature set in the freezer at roughly around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, then let it sit for exactly 4 hours before serving. Now, just say, for example, you wanted to add whipped cream on top of this. You can do so now if you want with Dole Whip, or you can add yourself some Molly Irish cream. This is alcoholic, but you can spike the eggnog a little bit. So you can take a little bit of whipped cream or the Dole Whip, put it on the side in a mixing bowl, add a little bit of the Irish cream, mix it, and layer it on top, and then sprinkle your ice cream on top of it, or just sprinkled on top. Alright, that's all you have to do, and then set it aside and just let it begin its little magic. We're going to go ahead and we're going to spike the eggnog. So just remember, this next step is optional. You do not have to do this. I'm just spiking it because I want to spike it. So we're going to do whipping, topping. That's what we're going to use, Dole Whip. Alright, that's what it looks like. We're going to take a nice spoon. And this was in the freezer, so it's not exactly going to be exactly fluffy quite yet. We're going to add a good decent amount in because it is going to be mixed in with liquid. We want to be careful with the amount of liquid that we're using. So to prevent the ice cream from melting, we're going to pop this into the freezer. I realize it's going to be a lot harder to mix, so you're going to want to let your Dole Whip sit for a couple of minutes, let it kind of get room temperature, and then it can be a lot easier to whisk in a little bit of the Irish cream. Okay, so I put some hot water in this bowl. We're just gonna lightly pop it in for about a second, just to let it get to room temperature a lot quicker. You don't have to do this step. We're just going to mix it a little bit to hopefully try to get the Dole Whip to be a lot more creamier. As you can kind of see, this is what it looks like so far. Well, to kind of get a little bit runny, that's what we're looking for. This would be perfectly fine if I just had it at room temperature earlier, which I did not do. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your Molly Irish cream. And you need a little measuring glassware. We're going to put it at exactly no more than 1/4 a measuring cup. You can kind of see here. No more than 1/4 a measuring cup. So it's right underneath where it has the 1.5. All right. We're going to give it a taste test before we put it on. If it doesn't taste good, then we're not going to use it. Always give everything a taste test that you do in the kitchen before you use it, because you don't want to like accidentally start making something and it starts to make something that tastes so good into something gone so wrong. So now you can see here already also has the consistency of ice cream. It kind of looks like more like marshmallow fluff, actually. It's what it looks like. We're going to give this a quick taste test. Just a little bit. Okay. This is really good. It's really good. Okay. I'm not exactly sure if this is enough Dole Whip to make this entire recipe, so I'm probably gonna do this twice. Okay, same process. We are going to, so we're just gonna break it in. The same process that we did earlier. Now that this is a lot easier to mix together. I like this container a lot better than the container that I was using. It's a lot easier to mix. Okay, we're gonna press it in a little bit to press your Dole Whip down. Now, depending on how much Dole Whip you're gonna need, is dependent on what size container you're using when making your ice cream. Okay, so now that we got it more to like a creamy texture, we're going to add in our Irish cream. Okay? This time, because we have a little bit more, we're gonna go up until where it said 1 teaspoon. So 1 teaspoon of Irish cream. I'm just gonna pour it in just like that, and we're gonna mix well. As you start mixing, the color starts to dissipate very quickly, which is exactly what you want. You don't want the color to stay there. You want it to be blending in very well. It's going to be an offset cream, which is exactly the color consistency that we're looking for. Okay, so now for this next part, we are going to pour in our homemade Dole Whip on top of the ice cream. We're just going to lightly lather it in. Okay, so for our last and final part, we're just going to pour in the Dole Whip everywhere throughout this ice cream mixture. And then we're going to use our spatula from earlier, and we're just going to smear it in. Now, it's okay if you get some ice cream on the top. It's perfectly fine. It's not going to do anything. We're just going to go just like that. And then for the final products, you're going to take your Christmas sprinkles, and you're just going to decorate it to your preference. We're going to use, what one do I want? We're going to use the red and the green sprinkle, because this one seemed to be what everybody uses on the eggnog, so that's what we're going to do. Alright guys, do not forget that when you're decorating after everything has been complete with the ice cream, pop it back into the freezer. If your temperature inside your freezer is about 0 degrees Fahrenheit, leave it in for about 2 to 4 hours before serving. And if you have a temperature inside your freezer about 32 degrees Fahrenheit, then leave it in for at least 4 hours before serving, not any sooner than that. And just like that, that is how you make eggnog ice cream. It's a little spiked. You don't have to spike it. Again, that part is optional. But this is how you make homemade eggnog ice cream. I hope you guys enjoy it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and let me know in the comment section below. Did you make it? Did you try it? Did you spike it? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you have any suggestions for anything you want me to make next, until then, peace out, and I'll see you guys soon.